At this time, I would like to open up with a public hearing for the ordinance establishing a budget for the local hospitality tax. Is there anyone who would like to speak at this public hearing? If no speakers, then I will now close the ordinance establishing a budget for the local hospitality tax. We have a second public hearing this evening. This is an ordinance to amend the business license ordinance to reflect changes to the Municipal Association of South Carolina's model ordinance. Is there anyone who'd like to open this public hearing? Is there anyone who'd like to speak on that ordinance? Okay, at this time I want to close the public hearing for the ordinance to amend the business license ordinance to reflect changes to the MASC model ordinance. And now, call to order the meeting of the town of Batesburg-Leesville. It's our regular council meeting this evening. It is February the 11th, a little after 7 in our beautiful town hall complex in Batesburg-Leesville. Welcome everyone. Thanks for coming out in the kind of nasty South Carolina weather. At this time, I would ask Pastor Kent Suits if you would come and lead us in the invocation, please.
Thank you. Let's pray. God of wisdom and God of glory and God of light, we acknowledge that you are full of wisdom and power and glory, and we thank you that you have made yourself known to us in that way. Pray for the men and women tonight on this council, that you would be with them as they lead in discussion and in decisions concerning the town and the individuals who live here. Pray that you would grant them your wisdom, that you would give them light into the situation, that they would be knowledgeable of all the things that they would discuss and vote on, and that they would make the best decision for the sake of the people of this community and for the sake of your own glory. Lord, we acknowledge that you have said that the fear of God is the beginning of all wisdom. So I pray that these men and women here tonight to make these decisions would acknowledge you first as Lord of all, and that the wisdom that you grant them would come because of their foundation of the knowledge of you. Pray all these things in Jesus' name and for your glory and kingdom. Amen.
Amen. Thank you, Pastor Kent. At this time, item 3 on the agenda is the Pledge of Allegiance. If you would all stand, and Councilmember Olin Gambrell, if you would lead us in the pledge, please.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. Moving on to item 4, approval of the agenda. I have a motion by Mr. Simpkins. Do I have a second?
Second.
Second by Ms. Hallman. Any discussion? All in favor, raise your right hand. All opposed? The agenda is approved unanimously. Moving on to the adoption of the minutes. Adoption of the minutes for the January 14th, 2019 regular council meeting. Do I have a motion?
So moved.
Mr. Gambrell, do I have a second?
Second.
Second, Mr. Simpkins. Any discussion? All in favor for approving the adoption of the minutes from the regular council meeting January 14th, 2019, raise your right hand. All opposed? And the minutes have been approved. Moving on to council work session minutes from January 28th, 2019. Do I have a motion?
Motion to adopt.
Motion by Mr. Prouse. Do I have a second? Mr. Charles? Who is my second? Mr. Simpkins with a second. Any discussion? All in favor, raise your right hand. All opposed? And the minutes have been approved from the council work session January 28, 2019. At this time, item 6 is the mayor's report. Our next regular council meeting will be March the 11th, 2019. And moving on to item B, council committee's report. Central Midlands COG, Councilmember Olin Gambrell, do you have a report?
No, sir, we did not meet.
Thank you. Environmental Planning and Advisory Committee, Councilman Jason Prouse, do you have a report?
Do you have a report? We met last month. The entirety of the discussion revolved around the revision of the Central Midlands 208 plan, which is a plan that for management of sewer and wastewater discharge. Nothing's been happening on that particular item. We've just been a lot of discussion. That's all.
Thank you, Mr. Prouse. And for the Joint Municipal Water and Sewer Commission, we did not have a meeting since the last time we've met here, but we will have another meeting tomorrow night. Moving on to item C, Batesburg-Leesville Chamber of Commerce update. Mr. Mike Taylor, President of the BL Chamber of Commerce. Good evening, Mike.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Batesburg-Leesville, well, you know, each year and after this summer, you kind of take the clock and you rewind it and you start all over again. Well, although each day at the chamber is different with new opportunities and other things, we do our events are pretty much standard throughout the year. So we have our first event of 2019, which will be the Batesburg-Leesville in this year / Saluda Relay for Life and Chamber Dance, which is March the 15th. All proceeds will be split with Relay for Life. The other major events that we have, of course, are the Poetry Festival Golf Tournament in May, the annual auction in August, the fashion show in October, the annual banquet in November, and of course the Christmas parade. We take, I think most of you are aware, we take the toll-free calls for the South Carolina Poetry Festival as far as vendors and so forth at the chamber, and the Peachtree 23 Highway sale. And I'm telling you, it's active right now. That one event's in May and one's in June, and people are already calling, setting up, asking questions, so forth. So we're going to have a busy year in our community, I can assure you that. For your information, I don't know whether you're aware of this, the Midlands Business Leadership Group, which is made up of 50-plus top executives in the Midlands, they have reached out to the chambers to be a part of several of their committees. Of their 7 priority initiatives, 2 pertain to chambers. One is to build a Midlands Chamber Coalition to tackle multi-regional issues, drive priority regional projects, and engage elected officials. The other is to convene a new coordinating council for regional collaboration that, among other things, will lead the charge to integrate more diverse young people into positions of leadership. The first meeting is going to be about in the middle of March on the latter one, and everything will be participating in that, and I look forward to that. The Batesburg-Leesville Ministerial Alliance met this past Wednesday at the chamber. They heard a presentation from the Dream Catchers, and also they also planned the upcoming Community Good Friday service. The Dream Catchers are having, in the midst of a Valentine raffle right now, and they have a meet and greet with the parents and family members of the youth at the Batesburg-Leesville Leisure Center on March the 14th. That's my report, Mr. Mayor. Thanks, sir.
Thank you, Mike. That's great. Appreciate it. Moving on to public comment regarding items on the agenda. I do not believe we have anyone on for this evening. Thank you. Moving on to the next unfinished business. Item A, second reading ordinance establishing a budget for the local hospitality tax. Do I have a motion?
So moved.
Mr. Gambrell, do I have a second?
Second.
Mr. Prouse, any discussion? District 1? I'll take the vote now. Yeah, District 1?
District 1, agree.
That would be a yes, ma'am?
Yeah.
Okay, thank you. District 2,
Yes.
District 3,
District 3 votes no.
District 4,
District 4 votes yes.
District 5,
No.
District 6,
Yes.
District 7,
Yes.
District 8,
Yes.
and Mayor votes yes. The second reading ordinance to establish a budget for the BL local hospitality tax has passed. Moving on to item B, second reading ordinance to amend the business license ordinance to reflect changes to the Municipal Association of South Carolina's model ordinance. A lot to say. Do I have a motion?
So moved.
And second.
Mr., who was my first, please? Mr. Prouse, and my second was Mr. Simpkins, thank you. Any discussion? Any discussion? This is on, all right, this is, taking the vote on second reading ordinance to amend the, second reading ordinance to amend the business license ordinance to reflect the changes to the MASC model ordinance. District 1,
District 1 votes yes.
and District 2,
District 2 votes yes.
District 3,
District 3 votes yes.
District 4,
District 4 votes yes.
District 5,
Yeah.
District 6,
Yes.
District 7,
Yes.
District 8,
Yes.
and I vote yes. The ordinance has been accepted in the second reading. Moving on to second reading ordinance to adopt the low-income senior assistance program.
Motion to adopt.
Motion by Mr. Simpkins to adopt. Do I have a second?
Second.
Second by Ms. Hallman. Any discussion?
Can administration just refreshing our memory on that?
Sure. So since 2007, we've been operating a senior assistance program here in the town. The purpose of the program is to help low-income seniors with their water and sewer bills. When the program was initially created, it allocated $14,000 towards this program, and that was the cap for the income that we used then. So in the previous work session, through our discussion, we came back and looked at different ways that we could do this as the federal poverty level fluctuates. We were staying stagnant in the poverty line, and so what we did is we've codified the senior assistance program to define low income as someone who has an income of less than or equal to 130% of the federal poverty level, which will be recalculated each January. So in essence, we've made this to follow the federal poverty level, so that as the cost of living increases are given, the level will increase as well to meet the requirements of meeting the program requirements for the town.
And what is the income requirement for 2019?
Don't have that chart here. I had it last time. I don't have the chart here this time. Seth, do you remember?
It took it over 16,000, but I'm
Yeah,
looking
it was
through
a little over 16,000. Where previously we were set in stone at that 14,000.
Yeah, so it's been raised significantly.
And the chart includes, it goes up based on the number of people in the household also, it's not stuck on one number, there's two people in the household.
It adjusts for, multiple people in the house.
And we want all of our senior citizens to be aware of this change, because some individuals who did not qualify would now be able to qualify for that assistance. So we want to get the word out throughout the community.
Questions that come in, Mr. Luckadoo, to Town Hall, who would they direct the questions about the senior assistance program to?
To Ms. Cindy Apple, Utilities Director.
Thank you. Any other discussion on the second reading ordinance to adopt the low-income senior assistance program? District 1,
District 1 votes yes.
District 2,
Yes.
District 3,
District 3 votes yes.
District 4,
District 4 votes yes.
District 5,
Yes.
District 6,
Yes.
District 7,
Yes.
District 8,
Yes.
and I vote yes. The second reading ordinance to adopt the low-income senior assistance program has passed. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Council.
Moving on to item 9, new business. Proclamation, item A, proclamation proclaiming March 2019 as the 17th annual March for Meals Month. Let me find this, I'm going to read this out. If I can read it. That's it. Get the laptop, here we go. This is a proclamation proclaiming March 2019 as the 17th annual March for Meals Month. Whereas on March 22nd, 1972, President Richard Nixon signed into law a measure that amended the Older Americans Act of 1965 and established a national nutrition program for seniors 60 years and older. And whereas Meals on Wheels America established the March for Meals campaign in March 2002 to recognize the historic month, the importance of the Older Americans Act nutrition programs, both congregate and home delivered, and raise awareness about the escalating problem of senior hunger in America. And whereas the 2019 observance of March for Meals celebrates 17 years of providing an opportunity to support Meals on Wheels programs that deliver vital and critical services by donating, volunteering, and raising awareness about senior hunger and isolation. And whereas Meals on Wheels programs, both congregate and home delivered in Lexington County, have served our communities admirably for more than 39 years. And whereas volunteers for Meals on Wheels programs in Lexington County are the backbone of the program, and they not only deliver nutritious meals to seniors and individuals with disabilities who are at significant risk of hunger and isolation, but also caring concern and attention to their welfare. Whereas Meals on Wheels programs in Lexington County provide nutritious meals to seniors throughout Lexington County, South Carolina, that help them maintain their health and independence, thereby preventing unnecessary falls, hospitalizations, and or premature institutionalization. And whereas Meals on Wheels programs in Lexington County can provide a powerful socialization opportunity for millions of seniors to help combat loneliness and isolation. And whereas Meals on Wheels programs in Lexington County deserve recognition for the contributions they have made and will continue to make to local communities, our state, and our nation. Now therefore, the Mayor and Town Council of Batesburg-Leesville, South Carolina, do hereby proclaim March 2019 as the 17th annual March for Meals Month and urge every citizen to take this month to honor our Meals on Wheels programs, the seniors that they serve, and the volunteers who care for them. Our recognition of and involvement in the National 2019 March for Meals can enrich our entire community and help combat senior hunger and isolation in America. Do I have a motion to, let's see.
Motion to adopt.
Second. All right, I have a motion by Mr. Simpkins and a second by Mr. Gambrell. At this time, is there someone do we have someone here, Teddy, for proclamation? We do not, okay. Any discussion? All right, District 1?
District 1 votes yes.
District 2?
District 2 votes yes.
District 3?
District 3 votes yes.
District 4?
District 4 votes yes.
District 5?
District 5 votes yes.
District 6?
Yes.
7?
Yes.
8?
Yes.
And the mayor votes yes. Proclamation has been accepted. All righty.
Great program.
Thank you very much. Moving on to item B. This is the first reading of the ordinance to amend the animal control ordinance to reflect changes made by Lexington County. Do I have a, let's see, do I have a motion
So moved.
to, okay?
Second.
Mr. Gambrell with the first and Mr. Simpkins with the second. Any discussion?
Can the town manager, read this?
If you would, we did have it in our packet, thank you, Mr. Luckadoo, if you would address the ordinance, please.
Okay. Since
The amendment of
2003,
the ordinance. Thank you.
so what we're seeking tonight is to amend the animal control ordinance to incorporate changes that have been made by Lexington County. For us to participate in the Lexington County Animal Control Program, we must adopt their ordinance and any changes that they make to their ordinance, since they are doing the enforcement in town. We've been participating in the animal control program since 2003. The services that they provide are picking up stray dogs, enforcing the animal control ordinance, and other animal control needs as they arise. The changes that they've recently made include mandatory sterilization and microchipping of animals impounded at the shelter due to violation of restraint and confinement. Managed intake for owner-surrendered dogs. This allows the implementation of alternatives to immediate surrender of owned dogs by offering service referrals and surrendered by appointment. And Lexington County Animal Services will no longer accept owner-surrendered cats. For those who wish to surrender a cat, I think the nearest location for that would likely be Palmetto Lifeline in Irmo. The county did previously accept owner-surrender cats, but they will no longer accept them. There were a few minor clerical changes that they made to clean the ordinance up.
For the cats, Palmetto Lifeline and Irmo, is that the same organization as the Palmetto Paws that came to address council, I believe?
It is. It is.
They would still pick up the cats, or you have to take them to the,
You have to take it to them.
take them?
Correct.
And with the contract you have, they're supposed to pick up animals if you call them, right?
What was it? Sorry.
I'm sorry.
They're supposed to pick up animals if you call them.
If they have
Like
someone
dogs and
available,
stuff.
they will. If not, you would have to take it to Irmo.
She's saying animals in general. Are we talking about cats?
Oh, you're talking about, not, outside of cats, yes, if a dog
Dogs, grizzly
is
bears.
trapped in town, they will come pick that dog up.
So if they're supposed to do this and you are in connection with them and they are supposed to do this, then why don't they do this?
I know when people request traps, we put the request in and we hook them up with people who are willing to get traps, and then it's a direct connection between animal services and the property owners who wish to have traps to try and trap stray animals. Once an animal is trapped, the county will come out, they give a number for them to call if an animal is found in a trap, and animal services will come out and pick that animal up.
You have stray dogs running all around.
Yes, ma'am.
People call about these stray dogs being all out in public, at your houses and everything else, and nobody comes. So why is that?
And that's something,
You have an agreement with these people that they're supposed to do this, then they should do this, right?
a lot of times what we get when we call requesting traps is that all their traps are out, and when they get a trap available, we'll bring it out. But that's one of the biggest things that we hear on a.
Don't we pay them for that?
No, sir.
We don't pay the county for that
No,
service?
sir.
So why are we even going through the motions of the ordinance? Why do we need to have an ordinance why do we need to have an ordinance in town to reinforce something that they're not even doing?
They
It
do
makes no
provide,
sense.
a lot of times it's just not at the rate and speed.
So they're not, I mean, it's not working. It's not,
But
it
they
doesn't
do
make sense.
provide the service, a lot of times it's just slow.
In the past, we have hired a animal control officer.
We have our own.
For the town.
Yes.
And I don't recall as to why we terminated that, but I think it had to do with financing somewhat. But maybe we should look into, getting our own animal control officer again. And I don't know if hospitality tax dollars can be put toward that, but that will be something that ensures the safety of the people in the town. Because we do have a problem with, stray animals in Batesburg-Leesville. The county is not getting over here in an expeditious, timing, and, it's very difficult. They're running around all over the place.
And I don't disagree on the timing, and I think that is a discussion that we could have come budget discussions about that possibility. That's what council wishes to do.
And the way the way the county works, and I think there's some misunderstanding of how they work. They don't come out and catch a dog. What they do is a homeowner's got to call them
We know
and
that.
say there's a stray dog in this neighborhood, and they say we will bring you a trap.
They know that, but they don't do that. In some,
That's the whole
maybe
point.
in some neighborhoods, but not all. They don't do it.
And the dogs not going and walking into the traps anyway, they don't do that. I think we ought to table this until we get some more clarification.
Well, if we, just for the record, we can talk about moving to our own program, but if we don't adopt these changes, we'll no longer have any service
Well,
whatsoever.
we're not having any service now.
We do have service, it's just not at a level that we expected to be.
Have you ever seen them, or heard of them catching a dog in a trap?
Yeah, I have, yes, sir.
Whose dog did they catch?
It was a stray dog, so I'm not sure whose dog it was.
I've never heard them catching a dog. I doubt if you have either, but
And if I would, in the packet, there's a letter from Lexington County Animal Control in our packet. It just explains the amendment a little bit. On November 27, 2018, Lexington County Council approved the Ordinance 1821 to amend the Lexington County Animal Control Ordinance. The amended ordinance includes the implementation of new program initiatives. These initiatives include the following: mandatory sterilization and microchipping of animals impounded at the shelter due to violation of restraint and confinement. Managed intake for owner surrender dogs. This allows the implementation of alternatives to immediate surrender of owned dogs by offering service referrals and surrender by appointment. And 3, Lexington County Animal Services will no longer accept owner surrender cats, as you said. Also included in this ordinance amendment are clerical changes that clarify the purpose of certain provisions definitions. And there was a copy included in our packet. And this is, again, item B, new business. This is a first reading ordinance to amend the animal control ordinance to reflect changes made by Lexington County.
it sounds like this is going to increase a burden on the citizens financially and otherwise. And the lack of the level of service that we're getting from the county is such that we probably shouldn't put that burden on our citizens. When you talk about microchipping and bringing animals over there and whatnot, it sounds like more enforcement than benefit to our citizens.
My understanding is it's not a charge. Are they going to charge people for the microchipping of a dog? There's no one, they're picking up a dog on the road, there's no one to charge.
Yeah.
They're strays,
But if you
there
do,
wouldn't be anyone to tie the
Right.
microchipping to.
for that piece, no.
Why
But
would you microchip a stray dog?
well, that's their kind of.
We gonna put them back in the neighborhood or something? I mean, it makes no sense. We need to have more information before we do a first reading on this. We shouldn't do it just because they say we should do it. There's a lot of questions.
Well, we can have a first reading and we can still have time for questions.
That's putting the cart before the horse. Why wouldn't we have all the information that we need before we take a vote? I mean, this isn't going anywhere. There's no time limit on it. Let's get the information that we need before we take a vote on something like this, because we have no idea how much it's going to cost, what the burden is going to be on the community, and what the benefit is.
I'm looking for an action from my council.
I move that we table it.
Motion to table first reading ordinance to amend the animal control ordinance, and in doing so, all services will stop within the municipality.
I don't agree with that.
It's not going to stop immediately. This is it's going to stop immediately.
We have a motion, hold on.
We had an original motion.
We have an original motion.
With a second, so, on the table. That would have to be.
We have original motion with the second on the table. Help me out, parliamentarian.
There's a motion table, we can table during a motion, but there's been no second.
Oh, okay.
So, now, are you saying that if we don't do this tonight, they're gonna stop all services immediately? Is that what you're saying?
That's my understanding. Is that right?
What about you?
Not tonight, we have to get through 2 readings, but we're
Okay.
gonna have to make these changes at the first available opportunity to be compliant with the way that their ordinance is.
For services that we don't even get. Okay.
Mr. Mayor, I'll call for the vote.
The call for a vote, there was no second to the motion table, so therefore the call for the vote for the original motion to go with the first motion.
Okay, this will be the vote for the first reading ordinance to amend the animal control ordinance to reflect changes made by Lexington County. Vote's been called for District 1,
District 1 votes yes.
District 2,
Votes yes.
District 3,
District 3 votes no.
District 4,
District 4 votes yes.
District 5,
District 5 votes no.
District 6,
Yes.
District 7,
Yes.
District 8,
Yes.
and the mayor votes yes. First reading the ordinance to amend the animal control ordinance to reflect changes made by Lexington County has passed. Moving on to item C, first reading ordinance rezoning 2 parcels of property located northeast of Mitchell Street from R1 single family residential to C2 office and institutional commercial, Lexington County TMS number 5900-06-025. Consent of 13.77 acres and TMS number 5900-06-026 consists of 0.73 acres for a total of 14.5 acres. Do I have a motion?
So moved.
I have a motion by Mr. Gambrell. Do I have a second?
Second.
By Mr. Prouse. Discussion and some clarification from the town manager, please.
Okay, and we do have the agent for that property here tonight, Mr. Harvey Sauls. The Lynn H. Goodman et al.'s family has put in the request for these 2 parcels to be rezoned. The parcels we are talking about are on the northeast side of Mitchell Street that run, the big field that runs adjacent to the Walmart property along Mitchell Street. They've asked for, it is currently an R1 single-family residential zoning, and they have requested to rezone to C2 office and institutional commercial for both properties. The Planning Commission did meet on January 22nd, and they voted to recommend rezoning of the property to council. Mr. Sauls, is there anything you would like to add to this or come up?
I mean, I'd be glad to the property is excuse me. Thank you for having me.
Welcome, thanks.
And the property's right there across from the armory, and the library area. And so the landowners we've had numerous requests to, from different folks interested in the property, and just see a need for higher and better use.
Right in front of the, right beside the library in that little.
Yes, sir.
No. If you're riding towards the high school, there's a field for sale on the right.
Right.
As you're looking across that field to Walmart, it's that field that's out there.
Mr. Mayor,
Sir.
I'm going to caution council once again that we decided that we weren't going to spot zone properties in Batesburg, and when you open this Pandora's box for the number of places that the number of properties that we have spot zoned, when other people come, this council puts itself in a very precarious legal position to say no to other areas of town who want to change their zoning. And we went through this exhaustive process of Mr. Reynolds doing an entire map of the zones for Batesburg. And we should probably keep to those zones. If we don't, like I said, when somebody comes up and we deny them the opportunity to rezone, it's gonna be a problem.
Yeah, I'm seeing other C2s on either side of it.
But we did
That has
say
nothing to
that
do with-
It would be
in one of our
con-
meetings.
That has
We
nothing to do
did
with
say,
spot zoning.
That's okay, that's just my opinion. It appears to me that this would be contiguous.
in one of the meetings,
If it was
we did
contiguous, it would
say
have been
that,
zoned already.
we did say that we would not spot zone. Yes, we did.
What? We said that we weren't going to
That
spot
was
zoning
in, that
anymore.
was in one of the council sessions that we were not going
Even
to
years
spot.
I was just saying, just because the property is contiguous does not mean it automatically is gonna meet the property beside it at that point.
And the intended use again?
We understand that, I'm just saying,
My apologies.
Ted, we understand that. All I'm saying is that, over the last year, year and a half, we spot zoned a lot of different property. We spent a lot of money and time saying, this is Batesburg, these are our districts, these are our zoning areas, and this is what it's gonna be. All I'm saying is, when somebody in my district come up here and say they wanna, have their property rezoned for something else, I don't wanna hear it, because we've done it. All right?
Was this decision unanimous at the planning?
Yeah, Ms. Beck, please.
I'm filling in tonight as for Miss Judy, but at the planning commission meeting, I'll speak because I'm the zoning administrator. It was unanimous. For property to be considered spot zone, it would have to be less than 2 acres. Anytime,
Hold on a second, yeah.
Put it out there.
If you would repeat one more time what you're saying about the acreage, thank you.
with the planning commission, the only time that an application can be sent to the planning commission is if it meets certain requirements. And one of the requirements of the ordinance is that in order for a piece of property or properties to be rezoned, it has to consist of at least 2 acres or more. If it's less than 2 acres, the only way that it could be considered spot zoning is if it was less than 2 acres. If you had an existing area that was already zoned, and there was a piece of property adjacent to it, that could be rezoned as an extension of that zoning district. Or if the property consists of 2 acres or more, then it meets the requirements of the ordinance in order to be rezoned. But the only way that it would be spot zoning is if it was less than 2. And this property in particular is 13.77.
And it's adjacent to the Walmart property.
And also, well, it's a total of 14.5. And the reason that they chose the C2 zoning is because of the location of the property. It's adjacent to Walmart. Walmart is C1, so it's adjacent to commercial property. But if the owners, you have different zoning districts, R1, R2, R3, C1, and C2. The residential districts, R1, R2, and R3, with what they want to do, they could have requested to have the property rezoned to R3, but then that would have been limited to residential. With the C2 zoning, they can have single-family, duplex, or multi-apartments. But if they would want to put some type of fellowship hall or something that they maybe decided in the future they would want to rent out for events, you could also have something along that line included in the C2 district. So that was the reason that they decided to choose the C2, because it would allow all of the residential districts, but also allow minor small commercial, if it was desired.
So this is not considered a spot zoning?
No, because of the acreage, exactly.
Well, let's see.
Connection to the mobile property.
Well, because of the acreage. But typically, because we know that less than 2 acres is considered spot zoning, we won't even accept an application that's less than 2 acres, because we know that it won't meet the requirements. But it was a unanimous vote.
So my point is, whether it's called spot zoning or rezoning, if you get 2 acres on Howard Street, that the neighbors agree that they want to have it rezoned, I don't want to hear it. Because that's the precedent that we have set over this year, is that anything over 2 acres, we're going to rezone.
And if I could speak again, one other thing that they do take into consideration, Councilman Kane, is if the request is compatible with the area. And that particular request is compatible. I mean, I hate to use an example, but the town is, you have your commercial R3, R2, and then the further you get out, you get into R1. If someone would want to go into an R1 area and put up a supermarket or a gas station or something, C1, then at that point it may not be compatible. So there is a chance that it could be denied based upon it's not compatible, because it could be a disruption or nuisance to that area. But this particular this particular request was compatible with the area also.
What's going to be in there that makes it compatible? What was going to put there that's going to make it compatible?
Well, whenever you have, if you look at the zoning map, you have your commercial district. The first layer is your R3, because typically individuals that live in apartment complexes, if you live in an apartment complex, then you know that you're going to have traffic on a constant basis, foot traffic, vehicle traffic, and it's more convenient because some individuals may live in apartments and then they may just say, well, some may not have transportation. And then it's convenient for them to be able to walk to the commercial districts.
Right.
And then the next level would be the R2, which is the duplex apartments. But typically individuals that live in the R1 with the single family, most of those individuals have vehicles, so they wouldn't have as much of a desire to walk.
So you can put an apartment complex in there.
Right, in the C2.
And the one we just rezoned, you can put an apartment complex.
Right.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
So, all right.
Yeah.
That's fine. I'm just telling you, all right.
The C2 district is like transitional.
When you put an apartment, if you could put an apartment complex in there, and you add 50, 60 new residents to this block here, the traffic is going to be crazy. But, and there's nothing anybody can do about it after we vote on rezone this. We have no idea what they want to put in here, but that's fine.
Any other discussion? Any other discussion?
Call for the vote.
Thank you. District 1?
District 1 votes yes.
District 2?
Vote yes.
District 3?
District 3 votes no.
District 4?
District 4 votes yes.
District 5? Okay, District 6?
Yes.
District 7?
Yes.
District 8?
Yes.
And Mayor votes yes. And first reading for the ordinance rezoning the 2 parcels of property on Mitchell Street. I'm not going to read that whole thing. Thank you. Moving on to item D, approval of contractor and funds related to 4 utility relocation projects.
These 4 utility projects are the one we discussed last week, the last work session.
Yes, sir.
Call for the vote.
We didn't have a, hold on. Do I have an motion to approve, a motion to approve the contractor and funds related to 4 utility relocation projects? So moved. Mr. Prouse, do I have a second?
So moved.
Mr. Gambrell, now, let's have discussion. Mr. Luckady, if you'd like to give a little more information than, either what's in our packet or otherwise.
Okay, quick recap of the 4 projects that were discussed at the January 25th work session. One is the US Highway 1 widening with the municipal agreement that we had to sign with DOT, that there are some water and sewer lines that we're going to have to be moved due to the widening. So that cost is included, and you can see in the breakdown in the white paper which cost is associated to which project. So the US Highway 1 widening, the moving of some water and sewer lines is in that, as well as there was a request to have a sewer line located in the alleyway behind Economy Furniture and the other businesses in the downtown Leesville district. In that alleyway in the back is to relocate a sewer line to allow for Economy Furniture to expand off their business in the back without building over the top of the sewer line. The other one is on Pershing Street, Skyline Drive, coming off of Skyline Drive to Pershing Street. We had a request from the property owner there who has intents and would like to sell those properties to develop new homes over time. He's asked that the water line relocation be done to run that line down Skyline Drive, going straight across versus cutting across the property up to Pershing where the dirt road was previously closed off. The lowest bidder that came in was at $93,220, S&M Grading and Excavating LLC.
Have we used them on other projects? S&M Grading and Excavating?
We have never, at least I can speak in terms of since I've been here, we have not utilized S&M Grading and Excavating. I know that Jim Longshore from Summit Engineering has qualified the contractors and done due diligence in checking their references and other jobs that they've done, and he's qualified their bid. I do know that Lake Murray Utility Company, who was second at 109, they've done a number of jobs for us in the time that I've been here in winning bids. So, but you've got about a $16,000 difference between the two.
Mr. Mayor,
Yes.
I have a question. It seems to me like the East Alley and also the Pershing Street, those 2 projects are more developer personal related as opposed to the Windmill and Augusta Highway, which are part of the widening project.
That'd be, yeah, correct.
I'm just questioning, not necessarily yes, I'm just questioning, does the town have the responsibility to do the East Alley and the Pershing Street instead of the developer? Why are we spending town money for $50,000 close to do those 2 projects? Just a question. I kind of think we open ourselves up for then
Right, actually, and
a lot of projects.
I'm seeing the first one, the East Alley Gravity Sewer Line, is for an existing business building expansion. And the second one has new development, but there's no, what does new development mean? And have we seen plans for new development, or what is this new development?
For the Pershing Street,
Yeah.
at this point, we have not seen plans for future development.
What is it zoned? I mean, what would go there?
R1.
R1
Pershing
just out.
Street's all R1.
Ms. Will, if you remember,
I'm sorry.
we were at that work session, I explained about, on on the east alley was one where there's a prescriptive easement. We don't actually have an easement there that's on paper, but because the line has been in the ground so long, the town could make the argument that those lines have been there, therefore we have an easement. We would have to go to court to argue that. So that, we talked about the cost of having to argue for that prescriptive easement versus moving the line to allow the building. On the Pershing Street, the town has an easement. That line is on an easement. The town has the right to go in there and fix that line. There's no question about that. So those are different.
So why are we?
We have the right, but not the responsibility.
No, we own the line. They are town lines. We have an easement to go in there and fix them. They are our lines.
Are they broke?
All I can do is, from a legal perspective, tell you that we have an easement to fix those lines. That's all I can tell you.
We understand that.
Teddy, are the lines broke?
They are not broke.
Thank you.
And I will say, Mr. Bill Kaufman, who has made the request for the Pershing Street, Skyline Drive line relocation, Mr. Kaufman is here tonight, if you have any questions for him.
We don't have no questions for him.
Okay.
We got questions for you. Because why are we improving property for taxpayers' money when it's not our responsibility? Those, first of all, the lines aren't damaged in any way. In the second case, you're going to move lines so that Economy Furniture can expand their business, right?
I can't make the decision, Councilman Kane, that's why it's before
Well,
council.
that's the general premise, right? That they're going to move those lines so they can build something on top of it, right?
Well, they would like to expand their building, and the only place they have to do it, there's a sewer line running under
Right,
it.
but that's not something that we should pass on to the taxpayers. That's something that the developers and the owners need to foot the bill for. Why you want to make the taxpayers pay that $50,000?
I don't have a
He's bringing it
decision.
to us. I don't
I'm bringing
think
it
it's
to you
an
guys
opinion.
for a decision.
Okay.
The last two items are
But hold on, Mayor. You lumped them all together like they were all.
Well, no.
We're gonna separate them out so we can do what we need to do.
And in the
And
white
not do what
paper,
we
it
don't
is,
need to do.
and in the white paper, it is separated out.
Okay, but on our agenda, we voting on this as one big package, right?
the motion that we have on the floor, right?
It's for one big package, all of them
It's for all.
together.
So,
Y'all can vote up or down, one, all, whatever. That's y'all's purview to what you want to do. I think on
With the motion that's on the floor, you can vote to exclude one, or you can vote to fund the whole thing.
And the issue, Mayor, again, is that this sets a precedent.
yes,
So that nobody,
I understand.
other businesses can come and say, well, y'all did that for Pershing, y'all did that for the economy, why y'all not doing this for us? And then you're looking at a real lawsuit. This is arbitrary and capricious.
All four of them are just one item on the agenda, so a vote approves or denies all four.
And you have to separate it.
So,
y'all can separate it if you choose.
You have to separate it.
right.
How can we separate?
You can't separate something that's on the agenda.
You can make a
We can make a motion.
Make a motion to separate.
Doesn't that amend the agenda then?
No,
Why?
because the issue is on the agenda. Y'all
But
make
the way that it's on the agenda, the way that if somebody was reading this, if the public was reading this, they'd be like, okay, they voted on a contract for 4
We
months.
can split this out. Parliamentarian, if you would help us split this out, please. The will of council, we have two that require DOT projects for the widening of the road. And
Windmill Road and Augusta Highway are related to the Highway 1 widening.
okay.
Mr. Mayor,
Yes, sir.
I make a motion to withdraw my motion.
Motion to withdraw your motion?
Yes,
Do I need a second on that?
Whoever made the
Whoever
second.
made the second.
That would be Mr. Gambrell. You seconded your. Prouse, sorry.
Mr. Mayor, I withdraw my motion.
Thank you.
Mr. Mayor, I withdraw my second.
Okay. Now,
Move the table.
Second.
wait a minute.
You can't wait a minute, we just moved this
Well, you
out.
told me to wait a minute.
You cannot wait a minute now.
Well, I understand that.
There's a motion on
I
the
get it.
floor.
There's a motion on the floor. I'm not
And a
waiting a
second.
minute. And a
Okay.
second. Any discussion on the motion to table?
Mr. Mayor, I think that we ought to table it so that we can separate these things out and get more information on why we using taxpayers' money to improve property for developers?
I think it's extremely important for the economic development of our town to separate these out and approve or look at the DOT, as it will stop the movement of that 4-lane expansion.
Okay, then you make that as a separate motion.
Okay, but we're asking to table, you just asked to table it, so I'm
Just ask the table item.
Where we at right now is a motion to table the issue.
Thank you.
Item
So
D.
if you table the issue, you can't.
we can't talk anymore about it.
Right.
So what needs to happen is somebody wants to, y'all want to withdraw that motion? Y'all want to withdraw the motion table?
So we don't want to vote on approval of funds for the Highway 1 widening to move those
We
lines?
can discuss that.
You can discuss it, you can discuss it before you go to a vote.
We're tabling it.
Table the whole thing.
No,
We can.
it's a motion and a second on the floor. Now we're in discussion, right?
That's correct.
Okay, so after discussion, if we want to withdraw our motion and second, then
That's where we are.
right?
That's
Or
why I
we can
asked.
go to.
Okay, or we go to a vote, so that's what we are.
Right, so that's what we're doing, discussion.
Okay,
Mayor, in my opinion, each one of these 4 items should be listed on the agenda as an individual item, so that we can vote on each one separately.
we can do that anyway
You can do that anyway.
by making a motion for each one separately.
How can you do that?
Yes,
We can
you're not
do-
supposed to do that.
It's inside of the agenda.
No,
It's just one item on the agenda.
Well, parliamentarian, are we able to do that or not with Freedom of Information Act?
It is not a problem because the issue is on the agenda.
but they're not broken out separately.
Everything in your packet is public.
Right.
So if somebody wants to come here and get your pot,
How many people got the packet?
they have the right to come get it.
Counselor,
By law.
Counselor,
You
this says,
Can we listen,
Wait.
I want to hear the explanation real quick
okay,
on being able to break this out so we can move forward and not hold up the DOT
okay,
project.
well, hold on, when you look at the agenda, it says approval of contractor and funds relating to 4 utility projects.
And our
It doesn't say-
parliamentarian
it
is
doesn't
getting
say
ready
which
to
4.
explain it to us.
What?
And I want to hear from the parliamentarian on how we can move forward.
You really can't, man, because if somebody knew that we were talking about a specific, one of the specific projects, right? They might have an issue with it and want to come and talk about it. But because the way that they lump together, they wouldn't know that they could come and talk about it. So you cannot just today, all of a sudden break them out into which 4 and vote on individually, because you take away the people's right to know which 4 projects they are. And they might have some concern about one of the 4. I mean, y'all can do what y'all want to do, but that's not the right thing to do then.
Mr. Mayor, from a parliamentary standpoint, based on what Mr. King just said, you can't even take the vote because nobody knows what the 4 projects are that are on the agenda, and that is just wrong.
Why?
The agenda says that you're going to take up an issue dealing with 4 potential projects.
Right.
You can vote to do all of them, you can vote to do none of them, you can vote to do 1, you can vote to do 3. Anything the council chooses to make a motion off of that item is proper tonight.
Thank you.
Okay. But for some of the cases,
We have right now we have a motion and a second to table.
Call for the vote.
This is a vote to table.
This is a vote to table it, which means we won't be able to talk about it, we won't be able to approve the DOT funds, and we're okay. District 1, voting to table. District 1.
District 1 votes no.
District 2.
Vote yes to table.
District 3.
hold on.
District 3. District 3.
Mayor, just hold on 1 second. Okay, District 3 votes yes.
District 4.
District 4 votes yes.
District 5.
District 5 votes yes.
District 6.
No.
District 7.
No.
District 8.
No.
And I vote no. Do we have another, and motion to table fails?
What was the final vote?
5-4. Do we have another motion
I have a
on this
motion.
item on the agenda?
I have a motion to approve Windmill Road and Augusta Highway projects.
Second.
We have a motion to approve the Windmill Road and Augusta Highway project, which are both our DOT projects. Any discussion?
We need to be briefed on those again.
We've had a work session, and can you give us anything else on those two projects by DOT?
Real quick, who was the first and who was the second on
The
that?
first,
And Susan?
Megan, Ms. Holman, and, no, Ms. Susan.
So, on those two, there are, with the widening coming through Windmill and Augusta Highway intersect, we have water lines that are running in that area with the current width of the roadway. They are going to widen the roadway, so therefore that is going to cause us to have to move our lines or to extend some of our lines out that are currently running underneath that roadway, both water and sewer. So the pricing that we've gotten is for the water and sewer work that needs to be done so that that road can widen. If we don't do the water and sewer line extensions, the road will not be widened until such time.
And from a procedure standpoint, on those also, as we discussed at the work session, there's already been documentation from the highway department that came before y'all where y'all agreed to move those lines when they came to you for the project. So it's actually already been voted on before that you would do it for the road widening, and this is just how much it's gonna cost to do it, is what it comes down to.
Any other, so the motion on the floor? Any other discussion on the motion on the floor?
Yeah, just for clarity, we understood that the objection was lumping all four of them in together.
Sure, and I've moved past that. We have a motion on the floor to approve the Windmill Road and the Augusta Highway. Any other discussion? District 1? This will be to approve the Windmill Road and the Augusta Highway, both DOT projects.
Yes.
District 1? District 2?
Yes.
District 3?
District 3 votes yes.
4?
District 4 votes yes.
5?
District 5 votes yes.
6?
Yes.
7?
Yes.
8?
Yes.
And I vote yes. The funds have been approved for both DOT projects. Any more motions on this item on the agenda, or can I move on? Moving on to the manager's report, item A, survivor coin presentation presented by Lexington County EMS, Megan Hallman.
Mr. Mayor? Because the fire department actually had a structure fire,
Yes, ma'am.
can we delay this to the next meeting, sir?
Yes, we can. She's going to, we have the fire department left, so we have no one here to present to this, the coin presentation too.
What item are we on there?
Manager report, special survivor coin presentation. Moving on to item B, special presentation to Chief Oswald and Detective, help me with the middle name, Delos Chandler by VFW Post 6561 of Saluda, South Carolina.
Good evening. We're from VFW Post 6561 out of Saluda, Chester D. Townsend. I'm also employed with Batesburg-Leesville Police Department. The VFW does a lot of things. They offer a lot of awards. So this year, I nominated Detective Chandler for an award. So my hopes was that Detective Chandler would place in District 2. That was my hope. Well, not only did she place in District 2, but she won it for the entire state. So this is your 2008.
That is awesome. Can you read a little bit of that? That is awesome.
I was gonna
Yeah.
go give her this check so she could take us out to eat.
How about you do that?
In recognition and sincere appreciation of her dedication and selflessness service to the Batesburg-Leesville Police Department. During Chandler's outstanding career, she has maintained a record of highly professional and exemplary service to the community and to the nation. Her extraordinary commitment clearly illustrates the proud core values and traditions of law enforcement profession, further highlighted by the degree of admiration and respect of her peers and the local public she serves.
All right.
She said the mayor has to pronounce her first name correctly.
You beat me up.
And one last presentation from the VFW Post. We're presenting the police department. I wrote a grant and they awarded the police department $1,000 to purchase some equipment, so we're passing it along.
Thank you, Jim. Really appreciate it. Thank you so much. Moving on to item C on the manager's report, event updates, March electronic recycling event and the town egg hunt. Mr. Luckett.
Good evening. All right. Got a couple quick updates here, and then I want to hop out of the way and let our chiefs get up here and give their end of the year reports. On the event updates, March 23rd, Saturday, from 9 o'clock a.m. until 1 o'clock p.m. at the Batesburg-Leesville High School parking lot, we will be doing another electronic recycling event. We will, again this year, do paper shredding service and household hazardous waste, such as paint, cleaning supplies, and fire extinguishers and batteries, those items that typically cannot be thrown into the recycling stations, and we will be doing entire collection again this year. Typically in the past, the electronic recycling event was not to be, it's to be moved around, but we've achieved great success with this event in town, that they've all but made this an annual event here in town, so we're very appreciative of that. This is a cooperative effort between Lexington County Solid Waste, Advanced Disposal, the town, and Lexington School District 3 for this event. So, March 23rd, Saturday, 9 to 1. Thank you. The egg hunt, the other event that we have coming up here down the road, will be Wednesday, April 17th from 5:30 p.m. to 7 o'clock p.m. This will be the 30th annual town egg hunt to take place in the town. It will again be held at College Park. Planned activities include egg hunts for children 6 and under, games, face painting, crafting, cookies, popcorn, and more. This is once again another cooperative effort between the town, the Chamber of Commerce, Dream Catchers, and donations from local businesses within the community.
What's the date again? April what?
April 17th, a Wednesday.
Thank you.
Thank you. Moving on to...
I have a question. Can I do it?
Yeah.
Are you done, Ted?
No, sir. Well, I'm done with regards to the recycling event and egg hunt. I've got a few project updates.
Okay, that's what I was wondering.
Moving on to item D, project updates, SCDOT sidewalk grant, the sewer lift station project, Brody Mill pump station project, walk bike study, alternate water source study, master plan RFP, and comprehensive plan update.
Some of these are very quick, but just wanted to keep you up to date. With regards to the DOT TAP grant, did reach out this past week. I've had a few people asking when that Highway 1 portion of the project is going to get started.
And that is sidewalks for everyone else that doesn't know what a TAP grant is.
Yeah, Transportation Alternative Program.
Thank you.
AKA, we're getting new sidewalks from DOT, a large part of it from DOT. The Highway 1 portion from Livingston Lane to North Lee Street, we reached out because the project had previously been bid and awarded to Palmetto Corporation of Conway back in the late November, December timeframe. Reached out the other day to inquire about when they may begin work on these sidewalks for phase 1. They have reached out to the resident construction engineer, and he's made contact with Palmetto Corporation of Conway, and they are trying to solidify that start date, but it hasn't been established yet. They said they would certainly follow up with us once that date's been established, if they wish to begin work, and get back to us. We are in the process of completing another TAP grant application for the phase 2 funding part to finish off the difference.
And phase 2 would be?
Phase 2 will be from North Lee Street to the Walmart entrance down Highway 23.
Thank you.
On the CDBG sewer lift station project, we've been hearing about this project for quite some time. We are proud to say that this project has been completed. It is done. So the 4 sewer lift stations that were being remediated are all done. We had the final invoice sent to us, and that payment is either been paid or is in the process of being paid. The next step with this project will be a project closeout meeting with CDBG staff to ensure that we met all the grant requirements. So, on the CDBG Brody Mill Pump Station, County Council gave final approval on January 22nd to award the town $240,000 in leftover CDBG funds from other projects that didn't spend all of their funding.
Awesome.
And so we've gotten that confirmation at this point. The funds will be utilized towards new sump pumps at the Brody Mill Pump Station, and it includes control panel, electrical, and SCADA installation improvements to that pump station. The final plans are being drafted and should be delivered back to us in mid-March for final review before we bid the job. The next one, the walk and bikeability study, March 7th. Got confirmation today, it appears March 7th, the project team hopes to come back here at Town Hall in the council chambers and have another public stakeholder town hall style session that day to talk about where they're at based on all the feedback that they've received and where they're at in the study, and their ideas to get feedback on what they have so far. So March 7th, once we have time solidified, we'll make sure we get this out to the public. On the water project study, and follow up to the council work session on the 25th, the list got narrowed down from 9 to 4 firms to interview and have more in-depth discussion about performing the study. Of those 4, we have interviewed 2 of the firms at this time, and within the next week or 2, we will be interviewing the final 2 firms. And we hope to be back on February 25th with the finding of those interviews and further information to try and make a final selection on the firm to perform the alternative water source study. With regards to the master plan, the requests for proposals have been received and opened. Just to remind everybody, this is the one that we received the $25,000 grant from the Municipal Association Hometown Economic Development Grant. Mm-hmm. We had a total of 9 firms submit for that RFP. We are currently reviewing all the submissions, and we do have this on the February 25th work session to go through our findings on reviewing those. Comprehensive plan update. Central Midlands Council of Government has been working for the past few months on the comprehensive plan update, which is a annual action plan item for this year. Their focus has been on updating all the existing conditions of the town and to update the census data that is within the town's comprehensive plan. We did have a meeting about a month ago to discuss the next steps of the comp plan update, and we've been providing them with quite a bit of information related to the existing conditions. They hope on February 25th, it looks like we're in for a fairly long work session this evening, but they would like to meet jointly with the Planning Commission and the Town Council that evening to do an update, because the comprehensive plan is actually a function that falls not only within council but within the Planning Commission as well. So they want to have a joint meeting with the Planning Commission and Town Council on February 25th to update their progress on the comp plan update. They are still planning to be done with this update by June 2019. Yes, sir, Mr. King.
Yeah, so, I mean, I've got so much, but I don't want to get into that. Listen, I sent you a letter about suspending high-speed police chase in the town limits. Have you made a decision on whether you're going to suspend that?
Mr. Mayor, I call point of order. We hadn't, it's not on the agenda tonight.
Well, this is during his presentation, so if we can separate out 4 items to vote, you mean I can't ask this man a question? That's under the manager's report? Is it something that you want to hide, Jason?
No, I'm just saying it's not on the agenda.
Okay, well, neither was those 4 things individually, but we did them. So, I mean, you can just answer the question, yes or no.
Yeah, if we could just, real quick.
The question can be answered.
No, real quick, what I'll say is that there's an investigation that should be finalizing into all the circumstances surrounding this chase, and therefore I have made no decision at this point based on your request. I have not made a decision.
I'm not talking about that chase in particular. I just asked, have you considered suspending chases, period? It got nothing to do with that case.
No, I've read your letter and I'm evaluating that, and also the most recent chase that we had, all those.
Okay,
But I have not made a decision at this point.
Thank you.
Yes.
Moving on to item E, police and fire end of year updates. I think our fire has
They went to a fire.
been called to fire.
They
Right.
went to a fire.
Thank you, Chief.
Okay, all of you have I put a copy of this in front of you. This is the incident report from the last 5 years. As you can see, they went down again last year, which we're grateful for. It helps out, you know, when the reports, this is incident report. All incident reports that come into the department, the officers respond to as far as writing reports on anything. So as you can see, like the year before in 2017, there were 2124. Last year, they went down to 2,098. Now, what I did that's not on the slide that you'll see in your folder is this. This will give you a breakdown of all those incident reports. What I did, I put it just gives 2 years, 2017 and 2018. I didn't put this on the slide because it'd be too hard to read on the slide. But if you look at what I did, I took the blue arrow and the reported crimes that went down from 17. From 18 to 17 that actually went down in reporting. I put the blue arrows, put the red arrows as the ones that went up on the first page. You can see the ones that went up was pornography and weapon law violations. They went up on that. So on the back, you finish up, none of them went, all the rest of them went down other than those 2. This detention center. Now, as you can see on the detention center side, and these are people that were housed in our holding facility. We house in our holding facility until bond is set, usually in the mornings, and in the afternoons our judges come by twice a day, mornings and afternoon. But as you can see, that went 2018 over 2017, it went up. The actual arrest went up. We hold that accountable, directly accountable to with fewer. You might well say you had fewer reports, but your arrest went up. The reason we hold directly on that is that our detectives, years back, we got a grant to hire one detective, but that one detective by the grant was limited to only elder abuse and child abuse. The year before last, in 2016, the grant ran out. We kept that detective in 2017, but we quickly realized that that detective was overpowered with trying to investigate. Let me back up. The way it has been in the past, each team, we have 4 teams of officers, a sergeant and officers that patrol every night. Not only doing their patrol duties, they had to write these reports of crimes that were committed. They also had to go back and investigate those crimes themselves. That was leading to a lot of backlog of cases not being investigated because they were having to do everything. Patrol the town, write the reports, and investigate the cases. Well, we saw quickly the need of streamlining that or assisting in that investigation. So that's why we made 2 of our officers, added 1 more to our detectives rather than the one that the grant had run out on. And that way, we have 4 teams of officers, and each 2 teams now has a detective that does the work. Detective Chandler that you just saw to get the award, she has 2 teams that she does the work with all the cases for those 2 teams, and Detective Dorman does the detective work for the other 2 teams. So with that happening, of course, and having detectives work on them this past year now, we had a greater increase of cases being solved. When you have a greater increase of cases being solved, you have more arrests being made.
What kind of cases are they detecting?
What you see on the list, all those. Larcenies, motor vehicle theft, counterfeiting, fraud, teller machine fraud, impersonation, welfare fraud, all those that you see on that list is what that's what they follow up on.
What's welfare fraud?
Actually, we didn't have any.
There wasn't any of those. Yeah. Wire fraud, embezzlement, stolen properties, you can go right on down the list. I mean, the list is there. That's what they investigate.
And do they have a quota for that?
No, we don't do quotas, no, sir.
Because you're arrested. So your arrests have gone up, is that what you're saying?
Yes, the arrest went up.
What do you account for the arrests going up?
That's what I just said, but detectives being able to follow up on the cases more efficiently than the officers themselves, then you had more cases being solved. With more cases being solved, you had more arrests made.
So the more cases you solve, the more. So if you didn't have the detectives, you wouldn't have more arrests.
Correct. That's what you can see in the stats.
Okay.
Okay, the next are the accident reports. As you can see, our accidents went down also. We're glad of that. Fewer accidents is always are always better to have fewer accidents. And for the 3rd year in a row, accidents went down in town. Now, if you want to look at what I did on the back of your sheet, there again too, it was too small to put on here. You wouldn't be able to see anything. On the back of the accident sheet, you'll see this map. The green flags are places. So I thought you'd be interested in that, even though it's small, you can still look at it. This shows where the accidents happen in town, and you can see if how many were in your area. The green flags represent 1 accident. The red flags are 2 to 4 accidents in the same location, and there's a couple black flags there. That's over 5 accidents in the same location. That's what the map shows.
But you have 331 arrests. Is that what you're saying?
No.
Talking about how many arrests you have?
I have to go back to detention center. It was 565.
565. How many convictions?
I don't have that. I don't know. That's in the court part. Okay, traffic tickets. On traffic tickets, they went down some in 2018 over 2017 as far as traffic tickets written. That's a good thing. Okay, dispatch calls did go up some from 2017 this is the calls that dispatchers dispatched to the officers during the year. As you see in 2017, it was 13,092 calls they dispatched, and last year that went up to 14,396 calls.
How come we have separate dispatch for fire versus the police department?
I can't answer for fire department.
Doesn't the county dispatches for the fire department?
That's correct.
Why don't they dispatch also for the police department?
We went through that a couple of years ago when we were talking. We had council meetings about that because it felt like the council felt at that time we needed to keep our own dispatch, to keep it local, because, for instance, when we're having meetings with Lexington County about that, one specific thing, and I have no qualms with Lexington County Dispatch, they do a good job for their county, but when I asked a question, I said, I don't know if, well, I guess Councilman Simpkins may be the only one, he was on the council then. I asked a question to her, I said, if they only dispatch, what I'm getting at is 911 calls. Our dispatchers talk to everyone that calls and people that walk in the door, and I'm gonna get that in a minute. I asked a question, I said, if a little old lady at 2 o'clock in the morning calls and just wants to talk to someone about her neighbor's barking dog, will you talk to her? And she told me no, because they don't do that. They only handle emergency calls. We do that. And we also, as you can see, not only those 19,000 calls that they dispatched, there would be probably 2 or 3 times more that of people that just call and want to talk to someone. It happens every shift. And then also, if you can't forget about the citizen's assistant. Now this is count people who actually walk in the front door of our lobby and want to talk to someone about something. And this something could be anything from directions, which with the year of GPS, that has gotten less, but we still have some people that want directions, to needing an ambulance, to anything. And that's the people that actually physically walk in our lobby. And as you can see, last year it was 19,350 people walked in that lobby needing something.
Are they calling 911, they're calling the non-emergency number?
Both. Both come to our dispatch. 911 and non-emergency numbers, both come to our dispatch. Now, on a little bit, I used to say that everything from directions to someone being shot come in our lobby, and that's true, needing an ambulance, and now that's happened. But right before Christmas, I'll tell you this, we had the strangest one in our dispatcher, Barbara Cribb, who's been there 39 years. She said that was she had never had this one before. We had someone run into our sign in front of the police department and knock it halfway down. After that was bad enough to run into the police department sign in front of the police department and knock it down. But then he came running into the police department lobby, naked, completely, screaming there were snakes coming out of his rear end. True story.
And Barbara handled that, didn't she?
Barbara handled that.
That's right.
We got an ambulance from him, took him to the hospital.
Good times.
Drugs may have had something to do with that.
Don't do drugs, kids.
Yes. That's all I have. Thank you.
Big chief. Moving on to item 11, executive session. Do I have a motion? We have, 3 items. Item A, discussion of contractual matters relating to auditing services. Item B, discussion of contractual matters relating to indigent defense services. And item C, discussion relating to the town manager annual evaluation. Do I have a motion to enter executive session? Mr. Gambrell as a first, second by Mr. Simpkins. Any discussion? All in favor, raise your right hand. All opposed? We are now in executive session. At this time, I would, no, sir. No, sir. We're going to make a motion to come out of an executive session. So moved. Simpkins and Mr. Prouse with a second. And any discussion? All in favor, raise your right hand. And we are out of executive session. Moving on to item 12, possible actions by council and follow-up to executive session. A, possible action for matters relating to auditing services. Item B, possible action for matters relating to indigent defense services. Item C, possible action relating to town manager's annual evaluation. Moving on to item 13, potential agenda items for next month's meeting, March the 11th, 2019.
Mayor, I would recommend that the end of year report from the fire department be done at the February 25th work session, if possible.
Thank you, Mr. Simpkins. Anything else?
Also, the survivor coin recognition for fire service.
Survivor corn. Coin. I'm thinking about corn because it's.
Mayor, I'd like to hear the manager on the chase policy.
At the next meeting?
Yes, please.
Okay.
Work session.
That's the work session?
I think it'd be better suited for a work session.
That's fine.
I think so, yeah.
right,
So
so
we'll hold that off for the March 11th and look at that for the work session on the 25th?
The 25th of this month, right?
Yes, sir. We wouldn't want that on March 11th.
And I'd also move that we postpone the March meeting. I'm not gonna be here.
A motion to.
Well, that's your fault.
Why don't y'all just do it when I get back?
No,
Okay.
we've scheduled it, Steve.
I'm gonna kid me.
Any other items coming out of executive session? Or I'm sorry, any other potential agenda items for next month's meeting, March 11th? Okay, item 14, do I have a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
So moved by Mr. Simpkins, second.
Second.
Second, Ms. Holman, any discussion? All in favor, raise your right hand, and we are adjourned.